Yeah, yeah, yeah. So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit of accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge, they don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like, wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because they agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Hello, everyone. It is Pam Esquire, also known as Your Law Intellect. Thank you guys so much for being here. I so appreciate each and every one of you guys. Welcome, Brenda Brown. You started this live off right, becoming a member. I appreciate your support and your commitment to the channel. If you guys could do me a solid and hit that like button on your way in so that other people know that we are on, so that we could come up in the, suggested videos when people are just scrolling through YouTube because they're bored. Okay. So that's what we hope when you hit that like button. It's free, it doesn't cost anything. And that's what it is. I hope you guys are having a great evening. I told myself earlier, I was like, self, you are not going to talk about Diddy on today. And I was like, okay, I'm going to wait till tomorrow to come on live because I already have some stuff in court that I have to do. So I'll just come on after I finish because I already be looking decent. You know what I'm saying? That's the best time to go live, when you ain't got to go try to look good and stuff. And so this letter I was reading that just got filed, and I was like, no, I'm going to mess around and wait too long. And it's just going to be so overwhelming that I can't talk about it. So I decided to come on live tonight, and I'm glad that I did. And I'm glad to see each and every one of you guys come in. I see you, Keontae. Thank you so much for coming. Life with Lois, Miss Buckeye, Cheney. I appreciate your support at the channel, the Gold Experience, VIP Lady. I see you guys coming in. Kathy, darling. Thank you so much, Patty. Thank you for your continued support. Alice, thank you for being one of the best mods in the land. I appreciate you keeping this platform in decency and in order. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. So again, make sure you hit that like button when you come in. We're going to talk about Sean Combs again, okay? I don't know when we're going to stop. This might be something we talk about for the next couple of years because I definitely want to go, because from the civil aspect, those cases might go on for a while. The criminal, from what we know, is supposed to be May 5th is when the trial is going to be. So by about, from a criminal perspective, if everything goes as planned, by about August or September of next year, or maybe around this time next year, we should know, if he's found guilty, we'll know, he'll probably have sentencing and we'll know what that time is. And he may be acquitted, up in May. So we'll know that. But these lawsuits, these several quadrillion lawsuits that get filed on a weekly basis, it seems never ending, and it also seems ongoing. One of the things that I told you all about the civil lawsuits is that eventually some of these lawsuits are going to make people start side-eyeing, like, and then everyone starts out like, I don't want to victim shame, but that's how they start out, because sometimes you just have to use common sense and logic. And some of the stuff just ain't, the math is not always mathing. All right. And I said that before. I was like, eventually that's going to start happening more often. And then people are going to start side-eyeing some of the accusations. Now, when Cassie came out, I think we all were like, What you got to say about that? I deny everything. Like, yeah, all right, Diddy. That's kind of like how we all were. But as some of these lawsuits started going, there's some of the attorneys that were the ones on these lawsuits. We were looking at them a little bit funny. And so now it looks like Diddy's attorney is taking that posture to try to use some of these lawsuits and some of the allegations that seem a bit wild and some of them, or some of the ones that seem questionable, and he's putting those in his filings. He's showing the court that a lot of this stuff is it's prejudicial, and it's causing almost like a circus out here, because we're reading these lawsuits. Now, I did see the 6 lawsuits that were filed yesterday. It was by attorney Busby. He was the one that said that he was going to file 120. He did 1-800 1-800 line for people. Hey, like if you call it, it literally just says like, have you been assaulted by Sean Diddy Combs? Like straight up has a 1-800 number. And when he did the press conference, he made it seem as if his lawsuits and those factual allegations were going to be at least akin to Cassie, or if not worse. That's what I got out of it, especially when you talk about minors and you talk about things of that nature. So when I actually saw the lawsuits yesterday and I seen that it was 20 pages, most of them were around 20 pages, then the factual allegations pertaining to his client was like at most a page and a half, at most. And then it goes into what the claims are against Sean Combs. However, the beginning, all it did was talk about everybody else's lawsuits, his criminal case, what his MO was, and all those other lawsuits. And almost like you should just believe my client because all of these other people's lawsuits or whatever were filed, as if those aren't just allegations at this point. So when I went straight down to the factual allegations and I was looking at to see what those allegations were. And I didn't get the Cassie effect. The Cassie effect made me say, oh, what? Oh my God. I didn't get that on those lawsuits. Maybe it's more. He said it's 120 of them. So those were only the first, 6? But that's a lot. That is definitely a lot. But one of the things that I told you guys is what they're going to start doing is on their first responsive pleading. When someone serves you a lawsuit, you can respond. You have a certain amount of time to respond, and it tells you in the summons. Well, it'll tell you you have been sued. You have 21 days from this date to respond to this lawsuit if you were served in person or however you were served. It'll tell you. You can respond by answering the complaint by either admitting, denying, or saying we neither admit nor deny and leave the plaintiff or the pleader to its proofs, or you can try to dismiss the lawsuits. What Diddy and all the people that have been sued, because it wasn't just him, it's his companies that have been sued as well, what they have been doing is responding with motions to dismiss those cases. It's called a 12B motion, where you do it in federal court, where you do it specifically on the pleading saying either the statute of limitation has run, even when you're doing the gender violence statute, trying to use that, you can't use that because what you're alleging happened in the 90s. So the gender violence statute didn't even exist. They're kind of jurisdictional ish. They're throwing it to figure out how to dismiss these cases. Now, we know on one of the cases with Jones, he sued UMG, Motown, I think Lucian. He sued a slew of people and he ended up dismissing them out of the case. That attorney on tomorrow, I believe, has to go argue why he shouldn't be sanctioned for filing what UMG defendants say is a frivolous lawsuit. Because mind you cannot sue for defamation in theory, generally speaking, you cannot sue for defamation when somebody puts something in a lawsuit against you. So that means people could come in and basically make some stuff up and they can file it and it's going to circulate because of the names that are on it. So what they were alleging is, hey, there's no way for my client to salvage their reputation because it's in the pleading, it's already public. Now what you can ask is to strike it from the docket or make it where it's no longer available to the public, which I'm sure they probably did. Any references to it, they probably are going to want it off the docket. But I mean, let's look at it. The damage has probably already been done if there was any damage. So some of these people are filing these lawsuits got issues. You have the attorney who represented Thalia Graves. No, not Thalia. That was Thalia was in an issue. She had an issue too with the text messages with the boyfriend or something. But it was the one attorney who withdrew out of the case, who kind of was doing the media circuit as well. That is being used of basically we know that a lot of these complaints are going to end up getting dismissed, but the damage is done. So what his attorney has done was, first and foremost, he's basically apprising the court that this is like a whole circus out here of all these people filing complaints and doing these press conferences. And then he's also trying to get the names of these alleged victims, because apparently the government is not just giving these names up of who these victims are or who are saying that they are victims. Let's see what you said. Busby and team throwing accusations around and not having rock solid proof will really make these cases a joke. And that's what happens. And so it ends up taken away because Diddy's job, well, his attorney's job is, well, to poke holes in the case, right? So you want to make sure the jury knows that there is some reasonable doubt here, right? If we got 80% of these people lying and making stuff up, why wouldn't Diddy use that to his advantage? You see what I like? It can go, but that's why you have to be careful. When I started seeing all these civil suits coming, first of all, where is this money coming from? That's my first question. Y'all gonna be splitting it up like when T-Mobile say they got a class action lawsuit and they come send you and tell you your portion is $10. Like, where is this money coming from? Secondly, do y'all really think that Diddy in the middle of a criminal case is going to sit for a deposition right now? What attorney on this earth would tell their client who is currently locked up, trying to get out on bail, pending his trial, is going to allow their client to go and sit for any depositions to testify to anything civilly? Whew. Then the same argument could go for his companies, because the government is alleging that his companies were basically a facade, for a lot of this criminal activity. So it's just a lot. It is. It's going to definitely be entry. Miss HLS said Thalia's boyfriend didn't tell the complete truth. He was the one who told Thalia about the tape. TMZ didn't release the entire text. Thalia isn't the one lying. Well, I don't know Thalia. And I did see all the other texts as well. I did see the completion. There, I know Chronicle Speaks had the actual text in one of her videos, so I did see that as well. But honestly, I'm not one at this point to say the credibility of anybody on who knew what they were doing and who was participants, who were willing, who consented, who didn't consent, who knew they was taking drugs and who didn't know who was taking drugs. Everything, in my opinion, is speculation right now. So I'm not saying that she's lying, but I ain't saying she ain't lying either. That's just where I'm at with it, because none of us have any admissible evidence, meaning the court has said I'm going to allow it, and the jury is going to consider this evidence. We haven't seen that. We only seen what people have leaked to the media, or they're trying to fight their reputations in the media. I mean, that's pretty much all we saying. But yeah, hey Tracy, good to see ya. And okay, so there was also a lawsuit about a 16-year-old, and Patrice said, unfortunately, it'd be hard for the 16-year-old to prove the alleged assault at Martha's Vineyard. So, without saying too much, what I will say, is when they talk about these parties, these white parties, and all of that, honestly, they were so tight. From my understanding, I don't want nobody thinking I was at no Diddy parties, as I wasn't at all. We're not gonna start that rumor. But from my understanding, everything there was so tight. Like their security was so tight. If you didn't RSVP, you wasn't coming. You couldn't just roll up in there. He didn't just have his regular bodyguards that we hear, that we see, that talks a lot, like Gene and Roger Bonds and all of them. He didn't just have those. He would have like security, like outside security, the top notch type security at these parties. And if you weren't on the list, you wasn't getting in. So it seems that he would know who was at these parties specifically. And I'll be interested just to see how that all plays out with the tightness of it. Because I think it was with the 16-year-old, I don't know how he got invited. He didn't say he came with somebody in that lawsuit. He didn't say anything. He just said he heard about the white party. He was someone. He came to Diddy and said, yo, I can't even sing. I can't really do anything. And Diddy said, well, you got the look. So you'll be able to, you'll be fine. And then they were at the white party and all this stuff was just happening with all these people there. And then he does have a picture with him, I guess, that he posted in the complaint. So a lot of this stuff, a lot of these lawsuits seem like they're incomplete, like it's something missing all the time. Like it just, a lot of these just feel like something is left out, something is missing. And then you also have to look at the fact of the government, as I said before, they are saying that this is a RICO, racketeering. That means that now you're going to also get people that ain't trying to be a part of that racketeering. They're going to listen. I was a victim too. So they're going to have to weed through that as well. So it's a lot for the government to weed through. And I think it's going to be a lot for Diddy to weed through. I always thought Diddy was kind of a jerk. So nothing surprises me. And then when it comes to the music industry, I was just watching something today and it was a white guy who was interviewing with someone and he was talking about how he's the one that wrote Before You Walk Out of My Life from that Monica sings when she was like 14 or something and sounding like a whole grown up that had been through some things. He wrote that song and he was saying she was shopping it. So he went to Clive Davis and Clive was like, yeah, I like this song or whatnot. He liked the song. But then L.A. Reid called him and was like, I like the song. I want to use it for Tony Braxton. But this guy, Clive Davis was like, I got this new up and coming artist named Monica. But nobody had heard of Monica then. So of course, when L.A. Reid's like, yeah, I want to use your song for Tony Braxton, who had a name, dude was like, shoot, I want to go to Tony Braxton then. That sounds like, okay. So he told L.A. Reid, basically he was going to get a song to L.A. Reid. Well, Clive Davis found out wherever he was at, and he was like, Clive Davis found, like, wherever he was at or whatever, Clive Davis called him and was like, yo, I want that song Before You Walk Out of My, like, that's a song that I want. And he was like, but I was going to give it to L.A. Reid. He was like, if you want to do any more work in this industry, you better give me that song. And what do you think he did? Gave that song to Clive Davis like he said it, like he asked for. And then he said that song, Heartbreak Hotel, it was the same thing with Whitney Houston. How Clive Davis wanted it for Whitney Houston, but L.A. Reid LA Reid wanted it for TLC, and Clive Davis got that song too. So I definitely believe that when they had these gatekeepers, people, they were demanding things, that's not anything that I doubt at all. I just don't want everything getting lost in the sauce with all the extra stuff that don't have to be added to what's probably already there that could be proved. That's all I'm saying. Oh yeah, the industry is a whole entire mess. Happy birthday, Alice. Happy birthday. Alice, put your cash app up. I have to send you your birthday blessing. But yeah, so let's pull up this. Let me see. What's your cash app, Alice? I'll put it on this here screen. You said, let me see. So Sheila B said he was there with his parents. Was he the kid that his dad was taking the pictures at the white party? The only thing I saw in the lawsuit was him by himself. But the fact that anybody would be bold enough with somebody's parents, meaning mom and dad, there is crazy to me, Sheila B. If that's what happened, that is absolutely crazy that you would even try anything the way this 16-year-old is alleging. Well, he was 16 at the time. If you were trying, you telling me they're alleging Diddy tried this with his parents, like right there. Oh my God. I don't even know. I don't like. Y'all help me out. So you're saying maybe that's something in the lawsuit because I didn't like totally read through them. Let me see, Alice. Your cash app is AJ Howard. Happy birthday from the intellects. Let me see. Thank you for spending your birthday with us. We appreciate it, Alice. And many more. All right. Heavenly Heartbeat said, baby, anything is possible with the entertainment industry. I guess that's what we learning, I guess. Patrice said the Macy story was crazy, but actually sounds plausible. Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna see what Diddy's attorneys are alleging. Make sure you guys hit the like button, please, on your way in. Okay, his son Justin is involved in custody court and child support court. I didn't even know Justin had a kid. You see, that's how much I don't pay any attention. Let me see this one from. I was gonna show you guys something. Hold on. Let's see. Um, see if this girl still got this on her post. So this is what I thought was a little different. Okay, this is one of the alleged accusers. This is the one that the attorney took off, said that she was not going to take the case anymore. So she withdrew, and the judge did allow her withdraw. I think yesterday, maybe the judge did order that she can withdraw and is giving her a certain amount of time to get her another attorney to replace her. But isn't Quincy Diddy's son? Ain't this Diddy's son? I'm so lost. So Quincy apparently liked her story or something. So she's like, my boo liked my story. This is supposed to be, and she's acting like all of these different people. She even got Tyrone Blackburn on here. So this is the one that the attorney, but this is what she was saying basically is that he likes her, and I was just confused. I was like, I know it's LB Shore's real son. What I'm saying is Diddy raised him, right? That's supposed to be who Kim's son. That's Kim's son. And LB Shore, because he looked just like him. But that is who is was basically saying Diddy was his father, like Diddy raised him. I don't know about Diddy adopting him, but what I'm saying is I know it's not biological, y'all. What I'm saying is when I saw it on her page, because I was trying to see who she was to see if she was gonna post about the attorney withdrawing, and I was like, why is she like happy that Quincy liked her like post or her story? I thought that was just so yeah. Anyways, you know what? Y'all talking about Diddy kidnapped him. I'm not doing this with y'all today. I don't know these people, okay? For all his legal team watching me, I don't know none of these people, okay? So I ain't make he is presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Does it look like it's a lot of stuff out here? It does. But we don't really know his side of the story either, and it's not his burden to prove it either. So y'all like talking about he done took the babies and jeez oh Pete. Jesus. Nandy said there's speculation that Justin may be the late handsome Wolf's natural son. I can't take it. Justin is what Misa son. I think Misa Hilton, is that her son? I don't know, y'all. I can't keep up. This is too much. I haven't. This is too much. You said he looks just like. Well, this is too much. I can't. Y'all trying to crack the criminal case over here. You guys are doing Maury Povich, trying to see who the daddy is. I can't. We can't do all this, and we can't be family court and be criminal court at the same time. It's too challenging. I'm not doing this with y'all. Oh, Jesus. You said he's Wolf's twin. Let me look up this person. You said his name is what? What is his name again? His name is Wolf. Let me see. Let me see. Nah, this was actually, I think, before she lost her attorney. Because when the attorney filed the lawsuit is when I looked on her channel and I was like, okay, maybe she's posting things she don't want her to post. I don't know why she left, but anyway. That's Wolf's son. Who is Wolf? I don't even know Wolf. Anthony Wolf Jones from the Bronx. Okay, let me look him up. Anthony. I'm trying to catch up, y'all. I'm sorry. I was raised in a my daddy was a pastor, okay? So I snuck to listen to this type of music till I was an adult. All right. So some of this stuff, like I just watched like New Jack City like 5 years ago. I mean, cut me some slack here. You like catch up. Anthony Wolf Jones. Let's see. What do you do, Anthony Wolf Jones? Oh, is he not alive anymore? Oh, that was his bodyguard. So Anthony Wolf Jones was Diddy's bodyguard. Lord have mercy. Let me see. Let me look. Oh, he over there with Big Meech and them. No, that's the Detroit. Let me see. They did say Diddy was over here with the BMF and all of that stuff. Let me see. Anthony Wolf Jones, life really got when you became. Let me see. People really are on TikTok comparing. They comparing now. Let me see. Oh, dang, he do look like him. Dang. Wait a minute. Somebody said Justin goes off on Diddy after learning Diddy's dead bodyguard is his real dad. I don't know. This over on TikTok. I don't know how true it is. Man, they look alike, though. Jeez, oh, Pete. Look at that. Mm, mm, mm. Y'all want to give me some more DNA to look at? Have you seen the side by side of the late singer actress Miss Teresa Grace and the lovely late Miss Whitney Houston yet? Teresa Grace and Whitney Houston. Y'all is Teresa Grace, Whitney Houston, Whitney Houston. Um, hmm. Let me read this letter. You guys messing up my whole sorry. Messing up my whole doggone childhood dang near. Wait a minute. Sorry. I don't know why I switched cameras. Sorry about that. Thank you so much, Jimmy Meech. Oh Lord. Thank you for the super chat. Lord have mercy. Let me get that off the screen before they take me down over here. You do know I'm from Detroit, Jimmy, right? Jimmy. I'm from Detroit. Can't be saying stuff like that. Okay. You said we're being messy with the unsolved DNA. Right. I'm like, what does that have to do with my title of this video? Delicious said, Pam, go to the Insta page where it's a pic before it's taken down. Okay. Okay, that's the Instagram page. Let's see. You guys. Ouch. I need to hire some of you guys in my law firm because you guys can find some stuff. Okay, so where is it in the story? What am I looking for? Oh, Jenya. Is this the one? What am I looking for? Uh, delicious, girl. What am I looking for over here? What's the picture? Where's it at? Who is this guy? Miss Buckeye said, I'm so lost. Listen, I'm trying to see all these people. Apparently, I done missed out. People ain't the real daddy. I already knew about Quincy. Like we all knew that was LB Shore's son, but it was like LB Shore wasn't around. Quincy said his daddy was basically a deadbeat who wasn't around, but then Quincy said him and the mama were still friends. I'm not understanding why Kim would want to be friends with a deadbeat, but I guess that's a story for another day. But we all know that Diddy basically raised Quincy, or was around, Quincy was young when they got together, and so he was in the household often with Diddy, and we seen him with Diddy a lot on red carpets. So J Lo's first husband. Let me see. Okay. Now I gotta read books and everything to know about this Whitney Houston. Okay, y'all, we went all the way to the right. When we look up the year Miss Teresa Graves reportedly passed away, if there was the year of the track. I I don't know how this is relevant to the case. Passport Shogun. We just talking. Sometimes we do that over here. Make sure you hit the like button though while they talking, okay, sir? I appreciate it. I appreciate your support. So, anyways, on today, in the late evening on October 15th, the judge received a letter from Sean Combs, who they wrote on behalf of their client, Mr. Sean Combs, pursuant to the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure 7F, to request that the court direct the government to identify its alleged victims so that Mr. Combs can prepare for trial, and to allow defense counsel to ensure compliance with Local Rule 23.1. And they have a footnote that they respectfully move for a bill of particulars under Rule 7F without prejudice to our ability to make additional motions for a bill of particulars with respect to other deficiencies in the indictment. So, this is the background. This case is unique, in part because of the number of individuals levying allegations against Mr. Combs due to his celebrity status, wealth, and the publicity of his previously settled lawsuit, and the grand jury leaks and false inflammatory statements by the DHS agents as outlined in our previous motion. That was a very long sentence. We couldn't break that sentence up. And then it tells you where you can find that on the docket where he filed his, accusations about the leaks and all of that. We went over that before. This has had a pervasive ripple effect, resulting in a torrent of allegations by unidentified complainants, spanning from the false to outright absurd. Yesterday alone, anonymous accusers filed an additional 6 lawsuits. And they have a footnote down here where it's naming the lawsuits. You got Jane Doe v. Combs. You had another John Doe v. Combs. Then there was another John Doe v. Combs. Then another John Doe v. Combs. Then it was a Jane Doe v. Combs. These allegations were all brought on behalf of unidentified plaintiffs whose allegations date back to the mid-90s. Counsel goes on to say that counsel for these accusers recently convened a press conference prior to filing, in which he claimed to represent 120 accusers making outrageous and deeply prejudicial allegations, including violent sexual assault and sexual abuse of minors. And then it's telling you where you can find it on at NBCnews.com, where the title says Sean Diddy Combs hit with the wave of 120 new sexual assault allegations. And that was on October 1st of 2024. For those of you that haven't read about it, the link is right here. Okay. This publicity stunt broadcast on Instagram included a 1-800 number that reportedly received 12,000 calls in the first 24 hours. And then it has the New York Post, I guess, that reported that there were 12,000 calls in one day, as the lawyer claims. These accusations came on the heels of more than a dozen lawsuits previously filed and currently pending, several of which have already been discredited, but only after irreparably damaging Mr. Combs' character and his reputation. And there's another footnote, and it's a very long footnote. It says several of these claims have already been discredited. For example, the attorneys for one plaintiff recently filed a motion to withdraw as counsel of record, citing, among other things, the plaintiff's, quote, questionable antics, end quote, and, quote, a fundamental disagreement with plaintiff, quote, regarding almost every aspect of the litigation, end quote. And they're quoting her memorandum of law in support of her motion to withdraw. And that's in the English case of that Instagram post I just showed you guys. Shortly after the filing of a different civil action, Graves v. Combs, the accuser's ex-boyfriend, came forward with reports that the accuser had tried to bribe him $3 million to corroborate her allegations and had told him she was suing Mr. Combs, quote, because he is the one with the money. Now, what I will say about that is I did read, like I said before, I did read the entirety of the text messages. I guess they're, well, you know what, from what they're representing as the entirety of the text message, because I don't have a phone and I don't have a records, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just getting it off the internet like everyone else, because this is not my case, so I can't subpoena the phone company. And when I did read it, what it sounds like is that there was some conversation of which somebody said they seen the young lady on a tape. She was saying she didn't know about it. She must have reached back out to the boyfriend saying, well, do you know what this guy, the security guard, looks like? Because the security guard was supposed to be a part of this essay. So, and the security guard has come out and said, I don't even know this woman. So he came out and did an interview too. So she sent a picture of the security guard and said, is this the guy, Joe? And he responded, yeah, that's him. And he was like, oh, well, my lawyer, some stuff about the lawyer. And basically said the lawyer was like, I guess initially she was not going to go after Joe because she knows Joe does not have the pockets, that Diddy has the pockets. So on that, based on that, that probably is something that may have been said, because you do have certain people that, say for instance, you get in a car accident and you get hit by somebody and they don't have insurance, but you have excess insurance to cover you if you were in an accident and your insurance company doesn't want to pay it. Obviously, your insurance company has unlimited money, so that's who you try to sue. If you sue somebody that doesn't have money, they're uncollectible. You may get a judgment, but what good is the judgment if you can't collect? So I think probably maybe that's what she was explaining, that he probably would be the one with the money, would be Diddy, because we don't know about this bodyguard and what he's doing for money, or even if he has any money. However, you still put the person on the lawsuit, even if they don't have money, if they're liable, like, because you make them jointly and severally liable for all actions. And you put them on the lawsuit for the most part, because you don't want what's called the empty chair too. So they'll point the defense to say it wasn't me, it was them. So you put everybody on there. So I kind of get, maybe she was half relaying it on, yes, we know if you sue a corporation and a person, the corporation is going to have the money. If you sue a millionaire and you sue his gardener, the millionaire is going to have the money. I mean, that's just common sense. But I think it's being construed in the media as if you're suing him because he got the pockets, taken away from the fact as if maybe what she's saying wasn't true. So when I, based on that, because she's made that statement that she was suing him because he had money, I don't think that's what that proves, that she's lying because she said that. That is just how it go. Why would you just sue a bunch of people that ain't got nothing? Like, why would I do that? Why would I just like file a lawsuit and knowing that you not, like, that's the point of a civil lawsuit. All you can get is monetary damages. So I can't put anybody in jail. So that's all you have. So that's what I think. So Elite said, but she was asking him to testify on her behalf, and in return, she wouldn't include him in the lawsuit. You talking about the she wouldn't include the boyfriend in the lawsuit? I know she wanted him to corroborate her story. That's what she wanted him to do. And said, I'll give you a certain amount of money, which I don't even know if she can get herself, but let's go on. Hit the like button on your way in, please. Here, oh, I gotta finish this footnote. Okay. The accuser's ex-boyfriend came forward with reports that the accuser had tried to bribe him for $3 million to corroborate her allegations and had told him she was suing Mr. Combs because he's the one that got the money. I mean, why else would you sue him? Additionally, the attorney representing plaintiffs in 4 separate suits against Mr. Combs was recently referred to this court's grievance committee for engaging in a quote pattern of improperly filing cases in federal court to garner media attention, embarrass defendants with salacious allegations, and pressure defendants to settle quickly. And so they give the site that you can go look that up. And we talked about that as well. That is Blackburn, who, from my understanding, has to stand, I believe, tomorrow and fight against sanctions in the Diddy case because of the UMG defendants. So there's that. You said this is too much. Let's go. This could be interpreted as treating Mr. Combs' entire actual history over this past 16 years as part of the alleged criminal conspiracy. The government should be required to identify its alleged victims for several reasons. First, without clarity from the government, Mr. Combs has no way of knowing which allegations the government is relying on for purposes of the indictment. Other than victim one, there is no way for Mr. Combs to determine who the other unidentified alleged victims are. The number of potential alleged victims and the length of time alleged in the indictment both weigh in favor of a bill of particulars. And then they have a case that stands for the proposition that ordering bill of particulars for names of unindicted co-conspirators, where there was a quote large number of co-conspirators, 8 defendants, and an unknown number of unindicted co-conspirators, and the alleged conspiracy has operated for a significant period of time, which was more than 3 years. Moreover, to the extent Mr. Combs is forced to mount a defense against criminal allegations that the government does not seek to prove at trial, he is entitled to know that. So he's basically saying, I need to know who out of all these quadrillion of people are you going to try to charge me criminally with, and which ones that you're not. Don't just have me walking around. How can I defend myself or to help prepare a defense for my client, and I can't even focus on the credibility of this person or what? Basically, in order to be prepared, you're going to have to do this on everybody that you may assume or may not be testifying against you, which could be time consuming. And it can also take away from obviously your strategy when you could be focusing and honing in on what the government's specific allegation is. Absent a bill of particulars, the government is forcing him unfairly to play a guessing game, one made all the more challenging by the onslaught of baseless allegations that desperate plaintiffs are lodging at him, for the most part anonymously, in civil suits designed to exact a payoff from Mr. Combs and others. Second, given the anticipated amount of discovery and the expected time required for its production, Mr. Combs will be unable to adduce the identities of the purported victims from the discovery without the assistance of the government. Mr. Combs also anticipates that the discovery will contain voluminous evidence of consensual sexual activity, making it all the more difficult for Mr. Combs to ascertain which of his prior sexual partners now claim years later that they felt coerced. Even if it were possible to ascertain the victim's identity from the discovery, and especially given the volume of anticipated discovery, it is unfair to require Mr. Combs to spend significant time trying to unearth the alleged victims' identities. And they cite Bortenbowski, which is for the proposition that the government does not fulfill its obligation merely by providing mountains of documents to defense counsel who are left unguided as to which documents the government will use at trial. Third, the publicity of these allegations and civil suits seriously undermine Mr. Combs' right to a fair trial. The attorneys and plaintiffs making these allegations are not bound by Local Rule 23.1 and can therefore make and have made limitless and unchallenged statements to the press. Mr. Combs' denials, on the other hand, are constrained by Rule 23.1 because he does not know which allegations are credited by the government and thus come within the ambit of the local rule. Under the circumstances, the court should require disclosure of the government's alleged victims and allow Mr. Combs to respond to allegations of others, uncredited and unrelated accusers. So he's basically saying that, hey, I can't, my client, or I can't talk about on my client's behalf about any victims that are part of the criminal case. However, if some of these people that are making these allegations in these civil lawsuits are not a part of the case, I got the right to talk in public. Now you got all these people, they can make all these accusations, and his hands are tied where he can't respond to it. Me personally, I don't even think they should be talking anyway, but that's just my opinion. I don't think they need to be in the media. People have their opinions about Diddy already, and a lot of it came from the situation that happened with Cassie. So when you came out and said, I am not the monster they are painting me out to be, or whatever he said, I know I'm probably making that up, but he said something along those lines like all the stuff wasn't true. And then, of course, that video gets leaked of you stomping her in the hallway. That right there kind of like blew it up for you anyway. So people are going to believe what they want to believe. It's no sense of you being out here windmilling. You need to know who, from a criminal context, they're using against you in trial. And you need to focus on that. That I do agree with. That you need to focus on that so that you can mount a defense. I do believe that everybody deserves zealous advocacy. I say it all the time. I know a lot of people like, I can't stand him. I can't stand him. But he does have the right to due process. And we only know what's on in the media. Like none of us were there. And so I'll be interested to see what evidence he has to counter some of this. We all know he's saying that a lot of it was consensual. So yeah. So anyways, let's see. Let's go on. So then let's see. There is another document where I guess he had requested information that the government had related to. Hold on. Pull this up. Exhibit 1. Exhibit 1. Okay, let me see. So what do you guys think? Do you guys feel like he should have to give up that they should have to give up the identity of some of these people? What do you think? Uh Name change said, don't Macy's have two-way mirrors? Was it in a dressing room or back office? They have I thought they had cameras, but I don't know. Listen, I said the cameras. I know they did have cameras. But again, it might be some stuff missing out of that complaint too. I don't know. And especially with the men. But another thing, I feel like I feel like the government I ain't trying to get I almost feel like when you have someone that files as a Jane Doe or a John Doe, they can file it, but he can actually they can request his team from a civil standpoint that they have to give up their identity, because that has happened in one of the cases. I can't remember which one, but where they had to refile and actually say who they were if they wanted to proceed. So there are criterias of which they will allow you to remain anonymous. So Starfish said he has to get the tapes excluded or he's toast. Well, it depends on what tapes, right? If he can get the Cassie tape, but like just imagine going before a jury. Like, first of all, everybody probably knows who Diddy is. That's the first thing. But then when you talk about the tapes, have you seen the Cassie tape of him in the hotel? How many people probably have not seen that tape? I think the majority, because they played that on CNN. So that wasn't just on our YouTube and all of that at all. So Andrew said it's illegal to have cameras in the dressing room. I'm talking about cameras in Macy's, period, because he did say something about contacting a security guard, and he told a security guard what happened, and I guess nothing happened from that. And then a month later, he was fired from Macy's. So that's it. Course correction said he needs to know so he can investigate facts, witnesses, and prepare for trial. I agree with that. But see, the problem is people don't like Diddy so much that you want due process for you, your family, your relatives, your son, your daughter, your cousin, your dad, whoever. But because of who he is, people don't want him to get due process. And I think that does not mean it's like you want to fight, but you want an unfair fight. And maybe people feel that way because, again, people have said, according to the U.S. attorney, people have been filing police reports for years. So they were filing reports when things occurred and nothing was happening. Now, apparently, it was with the NYPD, is what it sounds like. And we know NYPD, I think, were at some of these parties or part of his security or whatnot. And clearly, he wasn't concerned about the NYPD. What I would be curious to know is if the federal government knew about it. That's what I would be curious to know. Did the feds know? I know people were filing reports, but did the feds know? So yeah. Tracy said, "What, Macy don't have a camera in the stock room? That lawsuit said he was in the stock room." Tracy, I'm gonna put the link. I want you to come up because, honey, you know more about these lawsuits than I do. If you have any opinion, you don't have to cam up. If you want to come on, that's cool. Or if anybody has anything to say, I barely dropped the link because some of y'all be tripping, man. This is for Tracy. You said that celebs have made their payouts and run to Europe. I can't see Macy's not having a camera anyway. Let me pull up this doggone lawsuit with this Macy stuff so we can get the facts. Because I literally went down to the facts and then I was just like, oh, okay. Because he made it seem like these lawsuits was going to like blow my mind. So then when I was reading them, I was like, oh, okay. Let me see. What is this guy's name? Diddy. Shoot, Diddy dang near got a whole file. He got so many. You got stuff with Harv Pierre. You got stuff with. He got so many cases. It's ridiculous. Okay, let me see which one that. Let me go to the facts. Go to the parties. No, this was the white party. This was a security guard. That was another one. It was a security guard that said this happened to him. Let's see. People really like get upset because I guess y'all just want me to crucify the man with no information, but I'm an actual attorney and that ain't what I do, and I don't want people to do that with my clients. So again, I ain't like him before from a personal style. You know, I like this music and the people that he brought out, but let me see. Oh, he offering people ecstasy. This is crazy. Let me see. Hey Tracy.
Hey.
I sounded real country, didn't I? I sounded real country.
Er,
Okay, I'm trying to find this lawsuit with this Macy stuff. Let me see. What do you have to add to the conversation? Because I know you pay attention to all of these lawsuits.
I
Can
because I be at work. I just be reading because it be something to do at work. Because like my job don't be paying me to do my real work, but I be at work and I just be reading because if they pay me to read. I mean, might as well read some other stuff, on the other monitor too. Reading is reading. So
mm-hmm.
I'm just reading. I'm like, I expected the lawsuits to have a little more oomph to them or a little more just meat to them, which is there. The Macy's one for me, and I understand people are like, "Oh, Macy's don't have camera." I was like, "The Macy's in downtown New York." I was like, "Not the Macy's in the city." I was like, "Not that Macy's." I was like, hmm, "That just don't seem plausible." I was like, maybe if it was a little, rinky dink Macy's in, Charlotte. I don't know, some little small town in Alabama, maybe. I don't know. But it just seemed really, I was like, if you have somebody who is a buyer for Echo or an executive or someone high up at Echo at a Macy's store who has a who's who has enough to have an apartment for an Echo location, for the Echo company in New York. This isn't like a rinky dink run of the mill little, humbug little store. I was like,
Did the guy work for Macy's or did he work for Echo?
he
Tell the
worked for
story.
Echo.
I
So the,
can't
the
find.
man worked for Echo. So the man worked for Echo. Um, he was, he didn't say if he was an executive. He didn't say if he was a buyer. He didn't say anything. He didn't explain what the position was at Echo. It just said a higher up at Echo where he had an apartment that was being paid for by the company. So
Okay.
he was a higher up there. Um, hmm, he was told he went to the stock room. He was told to do some things, get on his knees, fine. Um, and then Diddy told the people at Macy's to have Echo have him fired. So Macy's told Echo to fire the man, and that's how he lost his job
Hmm.
behind Diddy because they had a multi-million dollar they had just signed a multi-million dollar contract with him.
So
Was
did
the
he
way
sue
he was supposed to have lost his
for like
job.
wrongful termination?
You think he put that? You think that was in that lawsuit? Girl, nice try.
Because doesn't that seem like Macy should be sued as well? If you suing people like and that's a wrongful termination. If I come to you with the allegation that I was assaulted, and so why wouldn't not now? A lot of people say they don't come up against Diddy because he was dangerous, and we all know some of the things that's alleged that he's done, and some things that he's like he beat up the executor or the producer one time. He actually did get an assault for that. So we know that he does some things. We know Kid Cudi said he liked to, play with fire, blow
Hmm.
things up. So we know that. So I can get that aspect where people were like they were scared and all of that. But when it comes to this person, if you are wrongfully terminated, you scared of Macy's?
Listen, wrongfully terminated have because you were living in an apartment provided to you by your employer. You
Right.
lost your place to live and had to leave New York because you had no place to live. So not only did you lose your job, you lost your place to live at the same time.
Hmm.
So I was like, hmm, I just would have thought there would have been more people named, more something to that to, tie that all together. You're
Yeah.
right. Macy's.
Send,
It's
send
some
me a
Echo executives.
send me that complaint. Email it to me when you get a chance, because I don't know why I don't have that one. I was just
Oh,
looking at all
oh,
the three and
oh,
that I
please hold. I'll send it to you right now.
didn't even download that at all. But let me go on with this document. So Diddy's attorney also attached what he was requesting from the government. So he said, "We write on behalf of our client, Mr. Combs, regarding serious threats to his rights to due process and fair trial." So this was before today. They sent the government something. They filed something rather, but they sent a letter directly to the government on October 7th, and it has the government must identify who out of the many pretend victims. They just say anything. It considers an alleged victim for purposes of the indictment. I don't even know why they had to put that on there, but the indictment treats Mr. Combs' actual history over the past 16 years from 2008 through 2024 as part of an alleged vast criminal conspiracy. The government has claimed that there are multiple victims, yet has not identified any. Other than victim one, there is no way for Mr. Combs to determine who these other unidentified alleged victims are, nor do we anticipate being able to ascertain the identity of the alleged victims from the discovery, which we understand will reflect videos of unambiguously consensual sex. As a result, Mr. Combs will be unable to tell which of his prior sexual partners now claim years later that they felt coerced. The government is thus forcing him unfairly to play a guessing game, one made all the more challenging by the slew of baseless allegations that desperate plaintiffs are lodging at him, for the most part anonymously and opportunistic civil suits. To enable Mr. Combs to prepare for trial, consistent with due process, the government must provide greater particularity on the charges against him, specifically the identity of the alleged victims. So they were demanding that the government provide the names of all individuals it considers to be victims of Mr. Combs' alleged criminal acts. The government must immediately produce the substantial amount of exculpatory material in its possession. So they're asking for what you call Brady material, which is those that are more favorable to him. We demand that you immediately turn over all exculpatory material in your possession, including but not limited to the following: all information indicating that participation in the freak offs were consensual, including evidence and statements from alleged victims and other participants that one, all participants were adults capable of deciding whether or not to participate. Two, to the extent any participants consumed drugs or alcohol, they did it voluntarily. Three, at no point did any participant express any unwillingness to participate. Four, to the extent any participant expressed unwillingness, they were not forced to participate. B, they also want all information showing that the alleged victims and witnesses are lying, exaggerating, or are otherwise unreliable, including all information relating to the alleged victims' financial, reputational, personal, or professional motivations to claim abuse. They want all information showing that prior to the alleged victim's motivation to lie, they were not afraid of Mr. Combs and never reported, whether formally or informally, any instances of coercion, force, or abuse. They will also want all information showing that to the extent there were any disputes between Mr. Combs and any alleged victims, Those were disputes related to infidelity or other interpersonal matters and not related to alleged force or coercion to participate in sexual activity. All information related to the government's unsuccessful attempts to find corroborating information from local law enforcement, 911 records, hospital records, or any other contemporaneous reporting. They want all information related to the government's failure to fully investigate alleged victims, including failures to obtain the alleged victims' phone records, email records, travel records, arrest records, medical records, drug abuse and rehab records, draft memoirs, financial records, and attempts to commit extortion. They want all information related to the government's failure to fully investigate the alleged victim's agency and freedom during the alleged periods of coercion and abuse, including failures to investigate the alleged victim's financial records, transportation records, employment records, and housing records. They want all information regarding individuals who have claimed to be victims but who have not been credited or corroborated by the government. Indeed, many of Mr. Combs' accusers have already been discredited. And then they had the same footnote of the motion to withdraw and the stuff with Blackburn and Thalia Graves and all of that. They want all information related to the leak of the hotel footage by law enforcement, including communications by and among government agents about the leak, internal investigations relating to the leak, and the identity of the HSI agent or agents who are responsible for the leak. They want all information suggesting that the decision to prosecute Mr. Combs was racially motivated, including information relating to the government's previous unsuccessful attempts to investigate and prosecute Mr. Combs, and information related to the government's decision to charge Mr. Combs with a racially motivated and discriminatory statute. They want any information inconsistent with the facts asserted in the affidavits filed in connection with the search warrants in this case. And they redact what it is because that came directly from the search warrants, which is probably under protective order. We expect that your witness statements contain such material. If any such statements contain any Brady material, they must be immediately produced, notwithstanding the fact that they may be otherwise governed by 18 USC section 3500. This request also specifically includes notes of conversations and meetings with counsel for alleged victims and witnesses. We further request that you direct others acting on your behalf, including your agents, witnesses, and alleged victims, to turn over this information that is in your possession. The government cannot avoid its Brady obligation by sticking its head in the sand. And there's a case law for that statement. The government cannot meet its ethical obligations by simply producing massive amounts of electronic evidence without specifically pointing out exculpatory material. Given the volume of discovery produced in this case, which apparently amounts to 4 terabytes of data, and the breadth of the investigation, the government is obligated to specifically identify Brady material among the discovery it plans to produce. The third point is the government should direct its alleged victims, witnesses, and prospective victims and witnesses to refrain from speaking to the press. As you are aware, Mr. Combs' right to a fair and impartial jury is becoming increasingly jeopardized every day. His case is being litigated in the press largely by nameless accusers with uncorroborated stories who seek to capitalize on the government's allegations and are looking for a quick payday. Because Mr. Combs has no idea who the government is crediting as an alleged victim for purposes of the criminal case, it prevents him from defending himself against any of these allegations, no matter how untrue. The government has an obligation to ensure that Mr. Combs receives a fair trial. This obligation should, at minimum, require the government to direct its agents, alleged victims, and witnesses to refrain from speaking with the press. This is particularly warranted given the number of government leaks to date. It is also warranted in light of the alleged victims' deeply prejudicial allegations to which Mr. Combs cannot respond and which taint the jury pool. The most recent allegations concerning abuse of minors is particularly troubling and have the potential to irreversibly poison the jury pool. Under the circumstances, the government cannot sit by and let such public disseminations interfere with Mr. Combs' right to a fair trial. Thank you for your cooperation. If the government declines to specifically identify and provide any of the information requested, or refuses to so advise its alleged victims and witnesses, please advise us of the government's objection so that we may promptly bring any such dispute to the court's attention. So that was the letter that was sent to the government before this motion was filed, or this letter was filed, that was filed to the actual docket. Okay, let's see. Shannon said, I can't see a judge allowing them to can't recite the civil cases in a criminal federal RICO, though. Now, we've seen where civil cases have turned into to federal cases. And I think in this case, when you do look at the indictment, that indictment was not solely, but primarily premised off of what Cassie's lawsuit said. And it talked about the incident in the hotel and everything. So, yeah. Somebody said free Puffy. Oh, okay. I think you said, I hope the defense knows that hanging their hats on the where's the 911 calls defense. I think we read way more than that, Mrs. Mackey. They're asking for a whole lot of information. Basically, they want Brady material, which is, of course, they interviewed a lot of people. Even the guy, Bugsby came out. Even he basically said that he got all these calls, and of course, all of them aren't legit. So what they're saying is, like, for example, with the government, if you talk to 50 people and you found out 20 of them were consensual, don't just give us information about the non-consensual, the alleged non-consensual. We need the consensual. We need the stuff that's favorable to what we're saying to make our defense stronger, is really what he's asking for. And you can't do that if you don't know the names of the people. How can somebody investigate anything on the case if you don't know who you're investigating? That's all they're asking. They're just asking, that they don't have to go in here with one hand tied behind their back. That's it. You said the statute of limitation for wrongful termination. Let me see if you sent this. I almost forgot that that's what we was going to look at, Tracy. Thank you so much. Let me see. Okay, let's do this here. Let's pull up this here lawsuit. Listen, the government, honestly, they don't really just, they have a high conviction rates for a reason. So usually I've had friends that have won in federal court, so it's not impossible. However, they usually come when they come because they like to win. They don't like to they like to, like, for real win, like how the Lions beat the Cowboys yesterday. Like, they like to win like that, where they kind of stomp you a little bit. That's how the government likes to do. So let the government go ahead and do what they do, and just do it in a fair way where everybody's he gets his due process. Because then if he doesn't get fair, or his due process is violated, then you have, like, what's going on with Weinstein. I think he has to get re-indicted if they're going to indict him again, because his conviction was overturned. Okay, these are the factual allegations. Mr. Combs. No, this ain't him. This is a different one. This is the young guy. Wait a minute. This is the 16-year-old. Hold on. Did I pull that up? Hold up. I gotta get some of this off my screen. That's not the. Okay, wait a minute. I must not have downloaded it. I thought I did. Wait, hold on. Show top. One moment, please. I'm trying to find it. Okay, here it is. Thank you guys for your patience. Please hit that like button. Okay. In 2008, plaintiff worked as an advisor for Echo Clothing and had been employed by the company for approximately 7 years. So, yes, he was an advisor for Echo. Echo Clothing at the time was among the most popular clothing lines in the country. So, this was 15 years ago. In 2008, Combs' Sean John clothing line was also hitting peak popularity. Plaintiff had, in fact, met Combs several times in connection with Combs' development and marketing of the Sean John clothing line. So apparently they had seen each other prior to. Echo and Sean John were competing lines within the clothing industry, both having had a large amount of success within the hip hop community. Moreover, both lines had relationships with and were carried at the time by Macy's, a well known department store. In or around May of 2008, plaintiff was in the stock room at Macy's flagship store at Herald Square in Manhattan when Combs and three of his bodyguards entered the stock room. Plaintiff came upon Combs and his bodyguard at a T junction in the stock room where plaintiff had very little room to maneuver. Combs was flanked by two large bodyguards to the left and one large bodyguard to the right. Immediately after turning a corner in the stock room, plaintiff was hit hard around the base of his neck, possibly with a pistol. The blow forced plaintiff to his hands and knees. As plaintiff looked up, he saw that each of the bodyguards and guns and had guns in their waistbands. Plaintiff heard multiple voices call out things like, "I kill you." Dang. Combs approached plaintiff while plaintiff was still on his hands and knees and said, "Suck my," y'all know, Echo, referring to the clothing line that plaintiff worked for. Combs thereafter forced his private into plaintiff's mouth and proceeded to forcibly and brutally orally array the plaintiff. Combs continued for at least 2 minutes until he released. While orally arraying plaintiff, Combs grabbed plaintiff's hair and made derogatory comments like, "You like that, white boy?" After he was finished, Combs threw plaintiff's head aside and said words to the effect of, "Shut up or I'll kill you." Combs said his bodyguard began to leave, taunting plaintiff as they did. Combs proceeded to gather Sean John merchandise from the stock room. He left the stock room and headed out to the Macy's retail floor where he began passing out merchandise to an adoring crowd as if nothing had happened. That sounds real diabolical. In shock and traumatized, plaintiff gathered himself and went to Macy's security to report the assault. By this point, Combs and his bodyguard had left the store. Plaintiff was told that someone would speak with him, but no one ever did. Shortly thereafter, Macy stopped letting plaintiff into his flagship Herald Square store. Approximately 3 weeks later, Terry Lundgren, CEO of Macy's, pressured Echo executives to fire plaintiff because Macy's had just signed a multi-million-dollar deal with Sean John Clothing. Echo thereafter terminated plaintiff from employment, and plaintiff was told he no longer lived in his company's paid apartment. Plaintiff is informed and believes that the report of the assault was destroyed or otherwise purged from Macy's records, and no action was ever taken as a result of the report. Okay, let me go back up here because I thought he said he just told a a security guard about it, right? He went to Macy's security to report the assault. By this point, they left the store. Plaintiff was told that someone would speak with him, but no one ever did. So, what report? It wouldn't be a written report because it doesn't look like anything was ever written. He didn't say that. Plaintiff ultimately had to move out of New York. Plaintiff still fears for his life as a result of the incident and the threats made against him on that day, including the fact that plaintiff was known to Combs by way of his work with rival clothing company Echo. Yeah, I'd have sued Macy. Shoot. I'd have. They got a whole lot of money. That's who I would have been suing. Because that just sounds absurd to me. Then all of that stuff would have came out in the Macy's lawsuit, right? All of the stuff, if you're saying I was assaulted by this person, and maybe that's or maybe he could try to keep it a John Doe if he was scared and didn't want to say who the celebrity was, just putting a complaint it was a celebrity, and then ask for protective order so the name wouldn't get out if he was that concerned about Diddy. And then but yeah, I would have sued the hell out of Macy's if that's what happened. So yeah. I'm talking about back then. I wouldn't I don't know who, let me see who he's suing now, but I'd have sued them back then. It has Daddy's House. Yeah, it got Macy's at the end, but I'm saying back then for whatever. Daddy's House, CEOPCO LLC, Combs Enterprises, Bad Boys Entertainment, Bad Boy Production Holding, Bad Boy Books Holding, Bad Boy Record, Bad Boy all the Bad Boy and organizations, those 1 through 10. So any other organizations they find out through the course of discovery, and then now I guess he's suing Macy's. What I'm saying is this was back in 2008, and then for you to have, so let me see what these claims are. Okay, I know it was violation of New York City Victims of Gender Motivation Act, and that's all the defendants. So they're including Macy's in that, and that's it. They're only doing it. What I'm saying is a wrongful termination back then is what I would have sued them for, because the statute of limitation on that is probably up. And they did his apartment too, like he was living off of, like you had to go find someplace else to live. Mm-mm. Yeah, everything is gender when the motivated statue is what everybody's doing it on it. So I Mrs. McKay said, I mean, even with the label name, it's kind of like Diddy was screaming the quiet part out loud, but no one noticed until he could not notice. Civil suit said instead of going to NYPD, he went to Paul Blart Mall Cop. Well, NYPD apparently wasn't helping back then either, so I don't know how much. How much you said? Look at the first page. Okay, wait a minute. Let me go to the first page. I know he was basically introducing this case seeks both compensatory and punitive damages for aggravated assault of plaintiff John Doe, which occurred at a Macy's department store. The conduct described herein is violent and shockingly typical of how defendant Sean Combs conducted himself for many years. Many individuals and entities facilitated and enabled his abhorrent conduct. Sean Combs believed he was above the law, and he is not. For decades, Sean Combs abused, molested, assaulted, threatened, and coerced women, men, and minors for sexual gratification, to assert dominance, and to conceal his conduct. I know he started all of these out the same. All of those John Doe and Jane Doe lawsuits were started out like this. So, was there something specific you wanted me to read? But yeah. Name change said, was there a visit to the hospital after such a horrible abuse occurred? I don't see that in the complaint. That's why I said I don't know if everything is in the complaint. I don't know. So, um, let's see what else. You said Jaguar is gonna file a lawsuit next. If they don't file one on her first. That part. Yeah, what I'm saying is from a legalistic standpoint, I get it. He is suing Macy's in this lawsuit, but he's suing Let me tell you. So the issue with anytime you try to sue an entity, a lot of things have to be foreseeable that it can happen. Like, how do you blame Macy's? Like, Macy's knew that Sean was gonna allegedly do something in the stock room. Like, they got defenses that they don't know anything about it, or they're gonna say it never happened. And how do you really prove that it even happened? Who's the security guard? What's the name of the security guard? If there's no cameras, this is what happens. And I go through that with wrongful convictions. It's like you have so much stale evidence that it's really a credibility thing. So it's going to be whoever's making this allegations against all the people that's saying we don't know what the heck you talking about. So what I was saying is, if people were scared of Sean Combs, which we know he can be a butthole, we watched him on TV. He was not the kindest of people. You know what I'm saying? We watch little videos. We look at them differently now. Like, we see videos with Cassie and all of that. But to me, he wasn't hiding that he wasn't the nicest of people, in my opinion. I got that vibe. But what I'm saying, so if you were scared of him, or if you were in the music industry and you didn't want to get blackballed, because we know, like I said about the Clive Davis thing as an example, we know there were gatekeepers, and Diddy started becoming a gatekeeper when it came to the hip hop. So I am not negating people were scared of him, and now they probably do feel comfortable or whatever, now that he's in jail, to say whatever they're saying that happened to ones that are legit, right? But in this situation, what I'm saying is, you could have it could have been a lawsuit that was filed against Macy's for the wrongful termination part. In the crux of that, there would have been discovery. He would have been subpoenaed for my discovery to talk about all of this, and all that stuff would have been on record back then. For that doesn't mean you got to sue him back then, but there would have been deposition transcripts. He could have been, because he's a part of it, right? Because you're saying he's the reason why I got terminated. Wrongful termination would have been on the docket. You may have tried to say, well, Your Honor, I need a protective order because it's celebrity names that I don't want to get out. So then you don't let those names get out. And then you proceed and you get your money off of Macy's. Because I think holding Macy's responsible for this is a tough battle. That's all I'm saying. But I understand that he's being sued, that Macy's is being sued. That's all. Name Change said Jack should have been added as a defendant. She sat back for 30 years and watched and videotape as per her confession. She right up there with the diddler. She did say something about having videotapes talking about some of the women that were involved. She knew, and they were secretly recording, and she got tapes too. But then you also had these security guards. Like, these security guards are starting to become a part of these lawsuits as being complicit or even being a part of it. Like with the Thalia, they're alleging that this Big Joe guy, and he's supposed to be a part of, I guess, the industry, doing these tapes type thing, allegedly. And but y'all out here talking like we knew he did this, we knew he did that. That's what the government is saying. You're being complicit, or if you turn your back, or you lock the door, or you're the one that went and got the drugs, or you went like what Don Richard was saying, you throw her in a car and you know she can't get out. Like, how are you not a part of how he's running this stuff and keeping people in fear? So, Patty, you already know. I ain't cared about him since the cheesecake, and I'll say it again. To me, it just said a lot. It wasn't a big deal to a lot of people, but it just said a lot. You know what I'm saying? Some people looked at that incident differently than what I looked at it as, and that's fine. But I looked at it, I was like, oh, I looked at that like the cheesecake incident with making the band and all the different incidents that happened with making the band. I looked at that like you were in a position of power, and because you knew you had something that they wanted, you were going to make them like a hazing. You were going to make them suffer. And it may have been because you suffered. So you want people to get it on the knuckles too. Now, what has happened in the music landscape now, which makes people more comfortable to come forward, is because now I can be a nobody, go sing a song, go on TikTok, and I can go viral. And then I have people coming for me. It's people making millions on YouTube and TikTok. You don't need these gatekeepers anymore like you used to. That's why you got all these execs stepping down. You got them trying to revisit and revise and figure out how they gonna make money, because now people can go, they can be in control of their own destiny as the independent artist. It wasn't like that back in the day. You had certain people that could open you up for gospel. You had certain people that could open you up for country. You had certain people that can do the R&B and the like. You had certain people, and you heard the same names. You heard Diddy, Clive Davis, you heard L.A. Reid, you heard Lucian LaGrange, you heard Babyface and Jimmy Jam. You heard all of, like, you heard the same names. Everybody was on the same labels, or they was the subsidiary of these labels. Now you can go on TikTok. You ain't got to deal with this ish no more to get your voice out. Social media has opened up a door. And then you got platforms like CD Baby and Apple and Spotify, all these people that you can distribute and stream your own music. These people were in control of distribution too. So you needed a distribution deal to get a CD to go on the shelf in these stores, and you got paid a little percentage off the units that were sold. You needed that. Now we paying $9.99 per month, and we can stream whatever we want to stream. So it's just a different landscape. So some people were like taking a lot of this stuff because they were like, shoot, I'm trying to get in the industry. I just wasn't about that life. I was like, yeah, I would have never been a singer back then. 662 Power said cheesecake situation is the same kind of thing, fraternities and sororities. Yeah. So anyway, that's all I was saying. I wasn't like, I'm not saying I saw that he was doing all this diabolical stuff that's being alleged or anything like that. And again, I have no opinion one way or another because he is innocent. As he sits there in the county waiting on his bologna sandwich over there at that detention center, he is innocent until the government proves him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So everything is just an allegation, and it's gonna be they're gonna come against people's credibility. Your life is gonna be on blast. Like, that's just how it's gonna go. So I'm gonna sit back like everybody else and see what happens. But now it appears that that's how he treated all the people he signed and was going to sign. He may have, but I'm just saying, for me, y'all would have never met me, because I'd have probably been one of them ones that be like, oh, you gonna keep do it then. You said you gonna do what? My mouth too slick. I'm just saying, like, back then, I'm very chilled now, but back then my mouth was too slick. I mean, it works for me in the courtroom. It's been cultivated, and it's been properly, crafted to argue appropriately. But back then, I questioned a lot of things. I said no. I challenged you. I like to be right. Like, so yeah, it would have been a problem. He would have sent me all the way back home to my parents. But it's some people that are definitely willing to it's some people that were willing to get hazed, I guess, in order to be a part of it. And that's what, like you said, that cheesecake may have been. I remember just recently watching some clips from Making the Band. You know, that stuff is coming down our timelines more because of Diddy. And it was saying things like, on like the parts, they have the actual reality show part, and then they'll have times where they off and they do their interviews. And it was when they got in a fight, and Diddy was like, we finally got a fight, stuff like that. Like, it was just, they wanted the drama of it all. Just like when Aubrey got fired. I thought that was bold. I was like, that's just bold. Aubrey and the other girl, they ended up getting fired from Danity Kane. That was bold. It was almost like, these people, like Baps and all of them from the band were just like, I don't want to go back to the hood. I don't want to go back. So you wanted to do whatever it took because you felt like if you stayed connected to Diddy, he was going to look out for you and make sure you became the star that you desired to be. And you're consistently trying to prove to him that you got what it takes and you're willing to sacrifice and do whatever for it. And that's what that's what he capitalized on, in my opinion, on that show. Like, these people really want it. They want it for their family. They want to be the first generation out the hood. They want to make it. They were talented, the people that went on there. And you're like, okay, I'm willing to do whatever in order to get it. And that's just what we saw. And poor Bab, she did co-create Queen of the Ring Battle Rap League. Oh, okay. I've seen an interview she did recently too. Melanie Aubrey is crazy. She's talking about juvenile delinquent. Cutie K said it was entertaining. Shannon said the parents were the ones sending those kids. Yo, the devil. That's another conversation. I mean, we dealt with that with R. Kelly. It's like, how do you guys like sign your kids over and give guardianship to your kids? But I mean, the parents, they think that it's safe, but you don't really know the industry like that. I couldn't even spend a night over people's house when I was a kid. So let alone somebody taking custody of you or authority. So that's another conversation that probably should be had on what some of the parents were thinking when they were allowing some of these people to become basically the child of these people that you only know on TV. Like, we only knew them from radio and television. That's not enough information to know about somebody. And that's just with anybody, not just because it was Diddy. So yeah. So your question is, so all these cases being filed, do they have to wait until after federal case is over before they go to court? They can keep on going, like they're going through motions and stuff right now for the ones that have served Diddy. Now, Diddy has not been served on all of these cases. It's easy to personally serve him, obviously, because we know where he is. He'll probably be getting them soon, but he hasn't been served. But the ones that he has been served, his attorneys have been responding, and I think they're trying to see if they can get him dismissed first. But if you get to the point where the court does not dismiss it and allows it to go forward in the case, then you get to the discovery portion. I think at that point, he's not going to testify, because you're not going to have your client testify in a civil case. Everything you say can be used against you later on, unless they agree whatever that didn't work for Bill Cosby. That's what got Bill Cosby caught up. He did a civil case, and then they said that it was sealed and it couldn't be used for criminal aspects or whatever the agreement was, and then they ended up using it in his last trial, and that's when he got convicted. So yeah, I hear you. And the bystanders, the ones who took money to turn a blind eye, should be in court. These security are really interesting to me. They really, really are. Like, some of the things that they are alleging, and they're going on platform and platform, or they're starting their own platforms and they're getting large followings about this. And how do you separate yourself from that? Do you just continue to, you're like, oh, it ain't me, I'm just trying to get my check? Was that like the sentiment or the attitude? If you actually saw any of this stuff, I don't know if they, again, all this stuff is just very interesting. All right, y'all, I'm about to get off of here. I'm about to get Forever T. Thank you for the super chat. You said thanks for bringing your whole self to us, Pammy Pam. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. He said, "We love you, Pam. Check your cash app." Let me see. Thank you. I appreciate the cash app, hon. Thank you for the love. I'm trying to, I hope you guys appreciate. We just try to give all sides. We want to, he is presumed innocent until proven guilty. It doesn't look like it's a lot of stuff out here. It does. Is it looking all that great? It's not, but we don't have all the information either. So we have to make sure that we're mindful of that. That's all. I think that was it. Oh, let me talk about this 15-year-old one too. I said, I mean 16-year-old. So this was a 16-year-old who said, and somebody said something about he was there with his parents. That's what somebody said earlier in the chat. Mr. Combs' legendary white parties in the Hamptons were well known by many, including John Doe, the kind where countless celebrities would attend. So this was in 1998. When John Doe was only 16 years old, he was recruited out of New York City and indeed, while residing in New York City, received an invitation to one of Combs' parties through a mutual connection. So this is what I was talking about. Like from my I don't know. When he received the invitation, he felt like he finally had the opportunity to rub shoulders with the who's who of the industry. He thought it should be his chance to break into the music industry. Others from New York City received such invitation to go to the Hamptons for the party. Indeed, many of those at the party were in fact New Yorkers. The party took place at Combs Mansion in the Hamptons. As John Doe entered, he spotted countless celebrities and A-listers who formed the music and entertainment industry. He recognized faces he had seen on TV and on the big screen. As John Doe made his way through the crowd towards the restroom, he unexpectedly bumped into Combs. Shocked, John Doe found himself face to face with Combs, a titan in the music industry, standing right in front of him at his own party. Doe took a picture with Combs at the 98 party. So that was the picture. Combs took an interest in John Doe and wanted to talk to him. They walked to a more private area near the portable restrooms brought in for the party. There, John Doe told Combs he was a big fan of Combs and shared his dreams of becoming a star. Combs smiled, telling him he had potential and he had the look. When John Doe admitted his voice was not great, Combs assured him that did not matter. Combs made clear that the only thing that mattered was having the right look for the industry, and with it, Combs could transform Doe or anybody into a star. Despite the pleasant conversation which occurred, things took an unexpected turn for the worse. Combs abruptly told John Doe that he needed to drop his pants. John Doe, caught completely off guard, confusingly asked Combs to repeat himself. Combs made himself clear. He instructed John Doe to drop his pants and expose his area so that Combs could inspect it, explaining it was a rite of passage and the route to becoming a star, and also a way to prove himself. Don't you want to break into the business? Doe immediately felt uncomfortable, froze, and did not know what to do. Combs remained calm and stood in front of him and stretched out his hand in a cupped position. Out of fear, anxiety, and the imbalanced power dynamic between himself and Combs, John Doe then dropped his pants and exposed himself as Combs previously instructed. Combs moved closer and grabbed John Doe's private engines with his hands. He firmly cupped and held onto his private for an extended period of time. During this time, Combs moved his hand in such a fashion to manipulate John Doe's private, squeezing and feeling them. He was 16. Combs abruptly then let go of his private and told him that his people would be in touch. Combs continued with this party as if nothing had happened. But for John Doe, everything had changed. John Doe eventually recognized Combs assaulted him by and through his power and influence over John Doe because he knew John Doe wanted to become a star. As a result of Combs' sexual assault into John Doe while he was a minor, John Doe experienced damages including pain and suffering, mental anguish, physical impairment, emotional torment. The interaction continues to humiliate and cause shame to John Doe. Because of Combs' power and notoriety, plaintiff was afraid to report what had happened. John Doe became yet another sexual assault victim of Combs through the same pattern and abuse of influence Combs exercised over others previously. Thank you so much, Nosy Neighbor, for gifting the 5 memberships. I appreciate that. So that is the one about the 16-year-old that is being alleged. For those of you that was wondering and didn't see it. That's all. What do you guys have to say before we get off of here? What do you have to say? So what's going to be interesting though is a lot of these what the US attorney Damian Williams did say is he said that people had filed police reports even back in the day, and some of those police reports nobody acted upon. So I think that would be some of the information, of course, that Diddy's team would want to see. So those would be, quote, contemporaneous documents that were filed at that time that would corroborate if people had filed them during those times. So we'll see, who filed reports. That's why it's interesting that the person at Macy's mentioned, upon information and belief it was purged from the record and all of that. But honestly, I didn't see in there where he said that anything was written. It was just that it was verbally reported. When you look at this one, it also provides that it doesn't provide that any type of report was even made for the 16-year-old. It sounds like he just later realized some years later, like he actually assaulted me type of deal. So it wasn't anything that's going to corroborate. I thought the attorney was saying that everybody has some form of corroboration that he was representing. So I guess we'll see. That's all I get. Y'all, right. The chat got real quiet. Y'all ain't got nothing to say about the 16-year-old. Nothing. Y'all done told me who the baby daddies was on some of these cases. Yeah, nothing. Y'all ain't got nothing to say. Nothing. You said, Kimberly said we shook. He said, I'm speechless. Okay. Like, share, and subscribe. Okay. Let's see. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, y'all like, share, and subscribe. All right. I just want to give y'all a chance if you have something to say. I was just letting y'all know that he was trying to find his way to use these lawsuits to do a reverse Uno and flip it and try to use it for the ones that's considered not credible, and use those to say, hey, this is a pattern of everybody trying to take money. So you're trying to discredit everybody off of these different lawsuits. And I said that was going to happen when we first started talking about this. So I was just showing as it was occurring when I saw the document file.
And another thing you notice, the first thing they say, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. That's what it's all about. After they get the dog you out, before they dog you out, that's the first thing they say. If you like this video, make sure you hit.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. Name change 412 said he was a male child. The kid probably was never taught to speak up when touched in an appropriate manner. Um, it was triggering telling the child it's a rite of passage. That's what Caribbean Galileo said. Let's see. Thank you all for the comments. Thank y'all for participating. You guys was just leaving me out here. I gotta be on both sides and say what this and then say but, because you guys are just man. Sheesh, oh Pete. Let me see. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Y'all just left me hanging towards the end. Y'all over Diddy or something? Y'all over it? You guys like let me know when the trial comes. Is that what you said? Let me know when you sitting in the trial and you can report it or you can tweet it out. Cause thank you, Granny the Great. Said thanks for your tactful reading of the complaint. I appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you, thank you. I wonder if anybody has seen Farnsworth. Is he on Instagram? That's a good question. There's all these speculations. Everybody all of a sudden knows who went to the grand jury. They know who gave up the most damning information. These headlines are so ridiculous. I'm like, I hope, I just can't see the feds just sitting back kicking it with reporters like, oh, yeah, we had Farnsworth. He came in with the umbrella. So we just don't know, and I do think that some people just can't stand Diddy at this point. And the problem when you don't like somebody, you just want to believe everything. And I think that's what he's saying as far as this has become prejudicial for him, the way this is being portrayed in the media. Because now, if anything comes out, you're just like, yep, yep, because of that. So that's why I always bring everybody back to he is innocent as he sits here, and these are our allegations. That's what it is. Thank you. Eve has many faces. I appreciate the super chat. That was so kind of you. Yeah. That's how they talk. Like everybody knows everything. I like looking, and it's a lot of clickbait. I have not seen. It's like this is gonna be a bombshell. If Diddy's done, it's a wrap. When this information comes out, it's just oh my gosh, he might as well just plea. And you like, dang, what they got him on the jumbotron? Wait a minute, you guys about to show a video? Like he calling, arranging this stuff, going to pick them up from another country. Like y'all got it step by step. Like that's how they doing this clickbait. So that's why I try to be very specific on my titles because I'm not even gonna fake the font. I'm gonna say what we're gonna talk about generally or primarily, and then we always chit chat and fall off into other stuff, like how we started talking about the DNA and who the daddy and who's not the daddy and all of that. That's kind of like what we do over here. But we have a general main topic when we get on live, and I try not to make it where it's somehow misleading. But these they like it's Diddy's done the information we've been waiting for, the bombshell receipt. You clicking on like, oh shoot, and then they're like they pull up a lawsuit or something we already read. I'm like, we read that 3 months ago. What are you even talking about right now? Name change say, yeah, I was sitting at Dunkin' Donuts eating and heard a grand juror talking on the phone. I believe someone is getting paid to talk, allegedly. Oh Lord Jesus. Oh my gosh. It's like, but you know what? I think that people are playing on the media because if you hear one thing bad, that's just like if somebody you don't like and you hear something about them and it's something that's bad, you want to believe it. That's just humanistic nature. And I think people are playing on it and it is prejudicial. because these people have to be a part of the jury. Like, your jury is a jury of your peers. You trying to tell me this man is from New York and half of the people, New Yorkers, like, they know who he is? They're talking about it not just on gossip sites or Instagram or YouTube. They are talking about Diddy on CNN, MSNBC, Fox. That is like a melting pot of people. That's not just to the urban or to the hip hop community. That's not. So yeah, I think it is. He gonna have a tough time, but where are they getting jurors from who are unbiased? A nursing home? Seriously, I'm lost. So I don't know. Caribbean gate. That's exactly what his attorneys are arguing. Where are these people coming from? Are we going to shoot? They know them in other countries. The crazy part is a lot of American artists. When I did entertainment, a lot of the artists that weren't as big in America, they'll be huge in another country. Like, all the time. So you look, I was gonna say you go to another country, but heck, that might not help you. So I don't know. All we can do is we can pray for everybody. Good luck. Pray for all of the alleged victims. Hopefully they get the closure that they want, or the therapy. If they were victimized, as some of them are alleging, and did he get your due process? That's all we got. He got his dream team together. He got a slew of lawyers to do what they do. Seems like they probably can't take on any cases right now, but Diddy. Just imagine being his civil attorney. Every other week, you got a lawsuit dropped on your desk. Every other week. It's like, and another one. And another one. When you sign up for Diddy, you ain't gonna have no time to even do anything else but Diddy at this point. For the next two years, it's all about Diddy. The next 2 years of your career, you're gonna have to that's it. So said good luck, not really. All right. Well, it's always been real. Thank you guys so much for all of the support. Make sure you hit the like button. I'll try to be back tomorrow. Depending on what happens. We'll see. But until then, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let me get this off of here. I done said bye like 3 times. See, apparently I just like talking to y'all. So I'm like, you think it's going on that long? Yeah, civil lawsuits last a while. Now, criminal, he has the right to a speedy trial, and Diddy has been very outspoken that he is not going to waive his right to a speedy trial. So he's trying to have a trial by May 5th. That's less than a year away. But like from a civil aspect, sometimes you do discovery for 9 months. I mean, you're looking at a year and a half to like 2 years usually when you do civil cases, unless you settle. Sometimes you go straight to facilitations or mediations and you settle the case. So that's that. You guys are really my face. I'm just sitting here chit-chatting like we on the phone. Let me get out of here. You guys have a good night.